Hi there, in this video we are going to chat about 2 ways that you can launch your website, either soft or a hard launch. I'm really excited for this. I am actually more particular to the soft launching, but I'm going to explain the pros and cons to both because not really one is better than the other one. They're both great ways of introducing your website to the world. My name is Yasmin Robles and I am the owner of Robles Designs, where we create drill-worthy websites for entrepreneurs who are hell-bent on taking over the world. We do this not just by creating pretty sites, but we also put some thought into your website, because even if your website is the most beautiful and has all these flashy things, it might still not convert. So we actually put some thought process into your website builds. And we have courses and all those goodies for you to look at. Make sure to go to roblesdesigns.com to check those out. Some free courses, some free checklists, the blog posts, all of that great thing, all of those great things. So now to the meat of the video. Okay, so like I said before, there are 2 ways that you can launch your website. The soft way or the hard way. So I'm going to explain first the differences between each of them and then the pros and cons. And as you're creating your website, you can decide how you're going to launch it and how it's going to support your business. So a hard launch is essentially when you have told nobody about your business or about your website, and then you just open up the site and everything should really be done. You shouldn't really be testing anything or waiting to add new features. This is literally like out of the box, it's going to work. So if you think about a product, you're not necessarily going to be doing testings. Let's say it's a beverage product. You're not going to be doing testings. You're not going to be tasting. You're not going to be doing, if it's something like, I don't know, if you're launching some kind of food, you're not going to be giving out free samples. It's kind of like it's done, right? You've tested it. You've done all the marketing. It's already that you're just polishing it off. You're not testing any chat features or anything like that. Versus a soft launch is typically a bit more budget friendly, but really a soft launch is where you launch it in pieces. So what that means is that certain features that you want on your site might not be available yet, and you just have the core. So if you are an e-commerce company, you might want all the bells and whistles, the abandoned cart, the subscriptions, all of that stuff. But for now, you've only launched the actual products that you can sell as a one-time thing. And then later on, as you're building the business, you can add chat features, abandoned cart features. If you're a service-based business or have a membership, you can then launch an official membership page. It's basically, you launch it in pieces or phases. So which is better? I am more partial to the soft launch because we can test as we go. And this is also where a lot of my current clients are, where they have an idea and we're building out the website. And so they are building phase 1 of the site, and then they will go ahead and start building phase 2, phase 3 as they start marketing, testing the product. They don't even know if the product is going to resonate. So they really want those phases in there. It also helps your budget. So a soft launch means that usually you are going to be doing it solo or with a very small team. So you're not going to be putting a lot of effort into, or you might, but you usually don't have the time to put, or budget to put into a ton of marketing versus a hard launch. You're usually a smaller team, so you need to be able to pivot faster. And that means that not all the bells and whistles will be on your site. Again, this is more budget friendly as well. As a website designer, I know how costly a website can be. And so when you're soft launching, you can get the basic bones of the site, the basic features that you need. So if it's an e-commerce site, you just have the basic e-commerce features, maybe not the subscription yet. And you're figuring out inventory, you're figuring out all of these things. So it's okay to just have the basic e-commerce piece. If you're a service-based business, you might just start off with a couple pages. So you might just have home, about, contact, a basic services page. And as you're building up your business and your marketing, you might then start adding specific service pages. So for example, if I were let's say a personal chef, and I was still testing out the market, I might only really add one of my services, which might be cooking something in my home and then delivering it to yours. And then as people gain interest in my services and my cooking and my recipes, then I can start adding things like I can go to your house, I can host your events, I can do other things, right? I can package your meals for the week and drop them off. This is a great time to test when you're doing a soft launch on a website. It's also great if you are not ready to have a blog yet, or know that you're probably going to blog 3 times and then totally forget about it. Then a soft launch might be better for the blog, so you can build it out in the back end or semi-build it out, and then just making sure your website has the capability for it. And then add it on later. So that would be like phase 2 of your site. Soft launch is essentially just more budget friendly, and typically, I'm not going to say all the time, but typically a soft launch is when you have a lower budget and don't have the team to help you out, versus a hard launch. So a hard launch is you coming out like a rock star right out of the gate. And it's a bit harder to do a hard launch because it depends on the complexity of your site. So if, for example, you are doing all of these bells and whistles, let's say e-commerce, right? So you have your subscription services, you have your chat box, you might have abandoned cart sequences, you might have all these things. People can select different menu items. If you're selling food on there, if you're selling jewelry, they might be able to get a subscription box, whatever it may be. So you have all of these different things going on your site, and you're as a hard launch website, you need to have them all pretty much wrapped up with a pretty bow on top and ready to go on launch day. So this is perfect for you if you have the team to help you market, because why would you want to do a hard launch if you're not even going to market the site? So a hard launch is really great if you're going to be putting in those marketing dollars and those marketing efforts. It's not so great if you're just going to put in all this money into the site and then you're going to put more money into marketing. It's kind of like, I don't know, I would have done both at the same time. So a hard launch, really, it feels harder. It feels a little tougher to achieve just because there's all of these balls in the air. Your marketing, your inventory. You might be starting to sell services, it depends on your business, but then you're also building out everything that's going on the site. So you want to make sure that you have the capability, not just with budget, but with time or a team to help you with the hard launch. So again, why do clients love hard launches? It gives you that bang when you come out of the gate. So I've had clients who we built out their site as a hard launch, right? So we have somewhat of a date that we need to aim for. And again, with websites, it's kind of like having a handyman sometimes. Sometimes, especially when there's a lot of complex features on the site, sometimes it can take, if you say, I want it done in July, that we could run into issues where it's going to be August. So you want to keep track of the scope. You want to keep track of whether you're adding more to your designer than you originally had listed out, and keeping track of the budget. So a hard launch though, you'll have all of these things ready. And as you are doing all the things with the website, you're also marketing, getting featured as this up and coming brand, as this new person coming out, and getting featured on magazines, blog posts, all these things. And then when you're telling people that in August, for example, your website is going to be live and amazing, and then you need to hit that goal. So it's great. You get so much PR, but it can be a little tougher than a soft launch where you're kind of building it out, testing it out, and then maybe you'll do some marketing and then build out some more. One of the, not really complaints, but one of the sad feelings that some clients get when they really want to do a hard launch is that they feel like they're kind of bleeding money, where there's things, they have their scope, but it's kind of just like you're not seeing any return on your investment until it launches. So let's say, for example, you're building out let's go back to e-commerce. You're building out an e-commerce website and you have all these features. So you're paying your website designer, you're paying your marketing team because you want to come out looking like a rock star, and you're managing inventory, or paying somebody to do that. Depending on what kind of company you have, if it's food related, then you're paying somebody to do that as well. And you have people cooking, you have all of these things going on at the same time, but you're not seeing revenue and you're just not seeing any income. And so you feel like you're bleeding money. Versus a soft launch, you can post the bones of the site and sell. And then as you gain momentum, you can then put more into the website. So a few things that you can do, or you can ask yourself when you are deciding whether your website will be a soft launch or a hard launch, are: do you have the immediate budget that you need to get everything you want on the website? Some websites are super simple, especially if you have a service-based business with no membership, maybe you're just like an analytics person, or you're just a social media manager. Then when we create your website, it's going to look gorgeous and it's basically just a service-based site. So it could be super simple and you might have the budget for it, you might not, it depends. Bigger sites are typically higher budget. So a huge e-commerce site, especially if you're really pro having it custom, or some sites that we built that are pretty large, that are just really extremely large, that we are testing the market, but it's got so many core features that we're still coding it out, right? It's not even going to be a plugin. It's going to be something where we need to hand make it. So that can really affect, do you have the budget for that or not? Another thing that you need to ask yourself is, will you be able to push marketing at the same time to gain that big following for your launch day? If you don't have the bandwidth yourself, or if you don't have the team, then it might be better to do a soft launch, test it out, then you can market, and then you can pivot depending on what you learn from that. If you still need to refine your product or service, so for example, if you have a food-based product, but you're not entirely sure if the recipes, all of the recipes will resonate with your customers, it might be better to do a soft launch, figure that out, and then do a bigger launch later. Another thought with that is that sometimes you've got the recipes, sometimes you've got the product, everybody's gonna love this shade of lipstick that you're selling, but the problem is inventory, and you might not have the inventory yet, you might not know when you're gonna get it, and especially if it's a lot of different pieces. So if you do a subscription box and then you don't have that one candle that you're supposed to put in the subscription box, you can't launch yet, or it might hinder what is inside the box. And so do you need to focus on your inventory and learn that? Then might be more of a soft launch versus a hard launch. Do you need to test your target market? So a lot of products or services, you might just be testing out your core person, who is going to buy this product. So if you are selling luxury handbags, you want to make sure that your brand aesthetic is really core and key to attracting those people. But you're still testing it out. You're not entirely sure. Maybe you're testing out some ads and the look and feel of them, the type of copy you're going to be using. So you're going to want to maybe do a soft launch instead of a hard launch if you're still testing out whether the product will work or whether the target market is even going to resonate with it. And lastly, if you're still working on your branding, you might want to do a soft launch. So we have helped clients who their branding is really, really simple. It's like a logo, a color scheme, and some fonts. And it's their own voice because they're writing the copy. So when it comes down to that, it's usually going to be a soft launch because you don't have all of the brand elements thought out yet. So, or you could pay for us or for some other designer to really think out those brand elements, the graphic elements. So If you are in underwater theme for some reason, what kind of graphics are you going to have on your site that encompass that? Are they illustrative? Is it in the photography? So if you're not sure yet about the brand and how it is going to be displayed visually, you might want to launch with a soft launch and then pivot later on, just having a core idea of where you want to take it. And then later on, you can always just launch again or do, change up some imagery, get some new graphics in. The final thing to keep in mind is that you want to make sure that when you're choosing a soft launch or hard launch, it's not just one or the other. You can do a soft launch and then do a bigger launch later on. So this is one of my favorite co-working places in Columbus, Ohio, Haven Collective. They did a soft launch and then they did a hard launch a couple months later. So the way this worked was that they opened up the building. Technically, you could have become a co-worker, and I did. And the whole first floor was still not done yet, but I had a place to work, and that was away from my home, and it was great. So then they talked me into an office. But so a soft launch brought in some income as they were starting to rent out the offices, rent out some of that partial co-working space. And as they were building out the bottom, the first floor, and then they did an amazing launch later on. And if that can work for a physical business, if you're remote or an e-commerce company, something like that, it can still work for you on your website. So if you're an e-commerce company, again, you can start by doing a basic e-commerce site, testing everything out, and then launching again. So don't ever worry that if you choose a soft launch, it's just a soft launch. It can be really the springboard that you need to do a hard launch later on. Thank you so much for watching, and I would really appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up or subscribe for more videos. Tell me in the comments below if you have already launched your site, what kind of launch you did, or if you have any other questions or topics you want me to cover, make sure to put them in the comments. I am more than happy to help out, and make sure to check out our courses at roblesdesigns.com. Courses, we've got some free ones, we've got some that'll take you from a blank slate to a full website on Squarespace, and we can also help you one-on-one. So let me know what you think of this video, and I look forward to seeing you on Instagram at Robles Design Studio, seeing your comments, and maybe you will even sign up for our newsletter at roblesdesigns.com. All right, I will catch you in the next video. Bye.